Now with the conclusion of bad chemistry, here's Emerson.
Larissa Schuster had always been in control, but now her fate lay in the hands of 12 strangers, and the gruesome, bizarre details about her husband's murder were truly shocking to hear. A woman who hated her husband so much, she drowned him in a barrel of acid, or so the state claimed. But Larissa's defense attorney, Roger Nuttall, said his client had been misjudged.
She's a very devoted Christian woman. She headed up the Bible studies within the jail during the time that she was awaiting trial.
And as for the evidence against her?
All of that circumstantial evidence, but none of it places her at the scene.
Remember, her acolyte, James Fagoni, had been tried separately, and prosecutors were not allowed to use his confession against Larissa, allowing defense attorney Nuttall to pin the blame on him alone.
James apparently had a dark side to him.
So, what did Larissa do? She discovered, said her attorney, that her young friend had killed her ex-husband and had put him in that acid. She knew police would focus on her because of all those terrible things she had said to and about her husband. So she helped Fagoni take the blue barrel to the storage unit, and that's all she did.
She knows that she's in a horrible situation, the day from hell, so to speak. What do I do now?
At her trial, what she did was talk. A lot.
Would you please state and spell your full name for the record?
Larissa Leanne Schuster.
This was risky, certainly, but she'd always spoken for herself, liked to be in control, and she wasn't about to change now.
Hindsight's 2020. I know that I made some bad decisions that day. I was simply overwhelmed with what was going on in my life on that day.
When did she say she first learned about the murder? James Fagoni arrived at her house and told her he killed Tim, but that it was an accident.
I had learned that he had put the body in a barrel, and it was at my laboratory in the warehouse.
But what about all that extra acid she'd ordered to be sent to her lab just before the murder?
Did you purchase that acid so that you could dump your husband's body in a barrel and pour the acid on it?
No, I did not purchase it for that reason.
It was perfectly innocent, she said. She needed the acid to give the lab's glassware a thorough cleaning. The prosecutor tried to counter Larissa, tried to show, for example, that nobody used acid to clean lab glass anymore. But after 5 days on the stand, Larissa had made a powerful impression.
If I hadn't heard the testimony from James Fagoni's trial, I would have bought it.
But remember, the jury didn't hear Fagoni's testimony. They heard Larissa's version of the story. And?
She was unflappable. I thought that she handled herself really well, but I also realized she's very, very intelligent.
Even so, no one expected the amazing effect of Larissa's testimony. As she stepped down from the witness stand, a member of the jury gave her a thumbs up.
And as soon as it happened, everyone else was out of the room, all the other jurors, and the judge talked to her about it and asked her why did she do that. And she pretty much told the court that she did it because she wanted Larissa Schuster to know that she did a good job on the stand. We're talking about a person who is accused of killing her husband and putting his body in a vat of acid.
Of course, her lawyer didn't mind, especially when the judge allowed the juror to stay on the panel.
I thought that's fantastic, because it came at a point where Larissa was being cross-examined.
And then, as defense and prosecution prepared for closing arguments, a different juror was dismissed for being disruptive and failing to pay attention.
Right after she was kicked off, I kind of hunted her down to find out exactly what she was thinking. She said that she thought that Larissa Schuster was not guilty at that point.
It only takes one, of course. And so here, in this unfamiliar courthouse in suburban Los Angeles, Larissa and her accusers waited for 4 men and 8 women to make up their minds. They waited for 1 day, and then 2. And on day 3, hours ticked by, the restless tension built all morning, until finally the news, a verdict.
We, the jury in above entitled action, find the defendant, Larissa Schuster, guilty of violation of Section 187 of the Penal Code, first-degree murder of Timothy Schuster.
Guilty. Even thumbs-up juror turned on Larissa, and just like that, the bubble of suspense burst. It was over. Save for the tears and recriminations, and the appeal still to come. And the sentence, of course.
I'm ordering you committed, Ms. Schuster, to the Department of Corrections to serve the rest of your life in the state.
She still had a friend who sobbed openly here in the courtroom, and her young son Tyler, who had always believed in her and now knew she'd never be coming home. So tears. But remember, Larissa had a daughter too, Kristen, the one she couldn't control, the one she sent away. Here in court, Kristen was seeing her mother for the first time since the murder of her father. She wanted to tell the judge that for Larissa, life in prison wasn't punishment enough.
For up to me, the justice system would be an eye for an eye, but it's not.
Chemistry. What passion it arouses.
I pray you are continually haunted at night by the sight and sound of my father fighting for his last breathing moments on this earth.
There's a balance to the elements of a marriage, a happy formula, a chemistry of love. And when the elements were unstable, chemistry ended a marriage, and then a life as well.
That's all for this edition of Dateline on ID. I'm Lester Holt. Thanks for watching.